Hit record. And we are officially getting started here. Thanks for being with me today. I'm excited to have you with me. You'll notice that the setting behind me is not the normal setting. You're in my bedroom. Oops. And we're going to go into my ensuite bathroom in a minute too. Oops. Actually, we needed to do that because I'm going to show you, using my husband as our fabulous model today, how to take photos, usable iris photos with your smartphone. And then we're going to move the setup very quickly into the bathroom so that I can show you how to do selfies, iris selfies with your smartphone. And then you can teach your clients how to do iris selfies so that they can send you photos and you can work with them through remote appointments. We've got Ritu from Ontario as well. Ontario's got a strong showing today. Again, I would love it for those of you who are with us on the webinar if you would introduce yourself, let us know where you're from or a little bit about yourself. And if you're with us on Facebook, same goes for you. I love to know who's with us. And again, when I'm looking away from the camera, it's just so that I can be monitoring the different technologies that we've got going on. Normally we stream into Instagram as well, but we are not doing that today because I need my cell phone to demonstrate how to do this. So they'll get a recording of this later on. Just let me double check that we are streaming properly into the Facebook group, and then we are going to get rolling here. All righty. And we are. Hello, welcome, good. We've got this all sorted out. Yay! Don't you love it when tech works? I sure do. I sure do. All right. So again, thank you for being with me. We are going to start with, whoops, stay on camera. We're going to start with learning how to take photos of somebody else using a smartphone. Now, again, you've got to remember that these photos are never going to be as good as they would be if you had a professional setup. If you had asked me 2 years ago, what did I think of doing iridology from cell phone photos? Well, if you go back in my YouTube channel, you're going to see that I was adamantly against it. And I still am, except that this thing of this last 15 to 18 months has made us need to pivot. Right? With lockdowns, we've been unable to work face-to-face with our clients. And yet I've had new people phoning me wanting appointments and wanting consultations and iris analyses. So I had to figure out the best way to teach them how to get photos with their smartphones that would be usable. Right? Now, they're not perfect. There's a lot of variables you can't control with a smartphone. But we can get photos that are really good starting points. And then eventually, when we can actually all be working face to face again, we could get our professional equipment out and we can work with this. So we did the pivot and it's all good. Here we are now doing this. So I hope I can aim this little camera where it needs to be. You're going to be looking way up. I feel like I'm on, well, you probably didn't have that TV show when you were growing up. All right. So this is my darling husband, Howard, and he has graciously consented to be my subject. So we've got in front of us a small table. I have my smartphone on a little portable tripod, and we need that because I'm going to need hands to do things. I can't hold my phone, click the button, and hold a flashlight at the same time. You want to make sure that you're not getting a lot of light interference from your room. So Howard, can we have you lean forward? He's got long arms and my tripod is short, but bless him for squatting down as low as he can. And the reason we want him to have his elbow or something supporting his face or his head is to help keep him steady, right? That way we're going to get less movement. Now on my phone itself, I'm going to set this for about a 4 power magnification. That seems to be just a sweet spot. You can experiment and see what works for you, but I find that a 4 power magnification or 4 power zoom is great. So I'm going to have Howard drop down as low as he can and as much as he can make his chin parallel to the floor. And this is a challenge because our table is, my tripod is too low. So he's going to do the best he can, and then I'm going to compensate. So I'm going to bring you up just a tad. And when I've got him where I want him, I'm going to move my camera around to find where we've got the best focus. And now, for some reason, we're not getting a good focus at all. Oh, what did I do there? Oh, what did I do there? Okay, I'm not a tech wizard. I'm just gonna, there we go. That's not a great photo, and I won't show you that one because it was a total fail. But we're not getting the clarity that we were getting just a few minutes ago. Oh, there we go. Oh, there, that popped in. Okay, so Howard, I'm going to need you to lift your chin just a tad, a little bit too much, right there. And if you could, with this hand, just lift your eyelid a bit so I can get more of your iris in the photo. And I'm gonna bring my camera around to find you again. Oh, that's great. Hold it right there. That's actually quite usable. So let me show the audience what we've got here. So this is what we got with that. You can see there's a massive overhead light. See that at about 12 o'clock in there? And that's a little bit more than we want. I can't actually get him to stand on his head to move that light around because it's the room light. So what I want to do here is I'm going to turn off the room light. That is going to make it too dark for us to take a picture. So I've got a trusty little flashlight here, and this is what takes practice. Okay, let's have you get back down where we need you there, sweetie. Thank you. And I'm going to just move your head up and over this way. There we go. Okay, using a flashlight, I'm going to be able to monkey this around, and I'm just going to, I need you to lift your lid more in the, okay, not quite. That's closed it more. Okay, that's relax for just a moment. And if you can bring your finger right down. So I'm asking him to bring his finger right down across his eyelid so that when he lifts, he gets the whole thing. And you're still lifting to the side. I know this, it's a gymnastics thing now. I can't get my finger in there because I need two hands to operate this. I need one to hold my flashlight. Okay, let's just have you drop your finger and have you right. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's pretty darn good. That is pretty darn good. Yes, that will work. We've got a fairly good focus here. There we go. So it's not open quite as wide as I would like it, but you can see that with using the flashlight, I can now, if I'm very clever, I can move the light around and I can change where it's sitting. Now you'll notice that what we can't control here is the amount of exposure. So how bright the light is, and that's going to wash out some color possibly. You need to also watch your the color of your flashlight light. I've got one flashlight that's very yellow. This one is kind of blue. That is going to alter your colors that you see on the image. And therefore, you're not going to be able to use these iris photos as hard and fast color representations. You know, when we're talking about different pigment colors and how that teaches us more about the chemistry of the body. So we're going to need to be very careful to not overstep the boundaries of the limitations of this technology. Does that make sense? Is that resonating with you? If that makes sense, I want to see a make sense in the comments box. All righty. Oh, we've got Ed from Boston. Hello, Ed. Welcome. All right. So any questions on how to shoot photos of somebody when you can actually be face-to-face with them? You're going to need to double check that you're not getting a lot of interference from room lighting or reflections from the outside. You may need to go into a dark room and use a flashlight. If there's only one of you working with your client, you're going to need a tripod to hold your camera because it's really hard to hold your camera, hit the button, and hold the flashlight at the same time. You might be more talented than I am. I certainly can't do that. And so if you've got a third person, though, that works really well. Excellent. Okay, thank you so much, Howard. I appreciate your help. We are going to move things into the bathroom now, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do selfies, iris selfies. So just give me a moment to get things moved over. And seriously, this will not take long because the bathroom is right here. Sorry if that was noisy in your ears, as I kind of bang and crash around. Okay, so this is the grand tour of our house. Well, not quite, almost. Okay, we're gonna bring that down to level. All righty. So here we are now. Why did I bring you into the bathroom? Because we need a mirror for this. And in order for this to work, because we need that mirror to be our second set of eyes, okay? So you can see that I've got a large mirror here on the wall. See, this is a mirror, not a window. It's actually a mirror. And I'm going to come in with my camera again. I'm going to set it up for the 4 power zoom. Again, that's my sweet spot. You might like it higher. I would suggest not going lower. Then we're going to turn the camera so that the strong lens, the good lens, the forward-facing lens is facing us. Okay, so far so good. And then, see, from there, I can actually see in the mirror. Let me try to aim this camera. There we go. That's what you want to see. I can see by looking in the mirror where my button is, so that's great. Again, I've got my phone on a tripod. I'm going to come in really close. I'm using the eye that is not being photographed to look in the mirror, to see the reflection from my camera. All right, so let's look at that photo. Now, you probably saw there's problems with it, right? We've got all kinds of light reflections. Can you see that? Because I've got this beautiful light fixture that I love. And so I can't have that. Those light reflections obliterate it and make this photo useless. So once again, we are turning off the lights. Now I've got a side window here. You can see my window. Let's see what happens if I've got that side light. Okay, so we're going to turn the camera around again. We are going to come in and we are going to try to get a good focus, but with less light, it's hard to get a good focus. So I'm just going to try this. Oops, I didn't like it. Yeah, that was a wasted one, which is okay. And I think that threw my 4X off. This is so good for you to see. Now, what I want you to remember is it's going to take more attempts to get a useful picture here because we're not using professional grade equipment. When you are taking photos like this, and I've asked my clients this who've sent me photos, how many photos did it take to get the 6 good shots they sent me? And they say it took like 100 shots. Okay, so this is an exercise in patience. You can see that without the room light, we are getting interference from the window and we are not bright enough to actually be in focus really well. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one step further. We're going to block out that light. All right. And I'm just doing this because you've got to see that this is kind of a technical experience, right? So what we've got going on now is, again, we've got, you can see my camera there. And I've got that trusty flashlight that we used on my husband's eyes. So now what we're going to find is I can actually get a fairly decent image here, but I have now the ability to move the light so that if I've done something that is obliterating a part of the eye with a light artifact, that's okay, because I can shoot again with the light in a different place and end up seeing everything I need to see. So you want to make sure that you don't bring the light from too far back, because can you see that there's a great big light artifact right on my pupil there? Can you see that? Are you seeing that side of the image? Let me just bring my camera, this camera back and see if you can see that. Okay, so that is actually picking up reflection from the really cute camera case I've got. So we need to get the light off the camera case and shining, that's a little bit more across my eye and a little more into my eye, but certainly not straight on, right? Straight on would be nasty. So we get it where we think we want it. Let's do that one again. Okay, and I'm going to move the light. Then I'm going to show you the images with the light in different places. Okay. Alrighty, so what we've got there then is this. That was the last image I did. And we've got a terrible glare on. Let me just see if I can fix that for you so that you're not looking at something that's awful. That's a little bit better. Okay, it's actually a fairly decent picture, hard to make it show up properly on the screen. And that was with the light on one side, right? You can see the light over here, and here's with the light on the other side. And those are fairly useful photos, right? I can see color comparisons within the eye. Again, I'm not going to use these to actually say whether the pigment is orange or rust colored, because that's just not going to be accurate with these. I can see where there's lacuna. I can see where there's fiber variations. And by moving the light around, see, we've got a little bit of light obliteration down here between 3 and 4:30. But here, we've removed that by moving our light to the different side. Does that make sense? That we need to migrate the light around. We need to move the light around to make this work right. Okay, so let's turn on some lights in here again. So I want to know what questions you've got about selfie iris photos. Oh, good. Anne-Marie, thanks for letting me know that made sense earlier. Sorry, I didn't see your message. And Deborah, thank you for letting me know. And Ed and Tamara, thank you for letting me know that all made sense. Do you have any other questions about taking iris photos with a cell phone, with a smartphone? It's a bit finicky. It's going to take more than the 3 or 4 shots that you think it should take. This is not taking a picture of the flower, that's for sure. So if you've got other questions about this, I want you to type them in the comment box or the chat box. So Tamara, my phone does have a number on it that says 4X. It absolutely does. So I'm just going to try to rearrange things here so I can sit rather than squat. All right, so just bear with me while I move this around. This has been a really technical little presentation we've done here with moving equipment and whatnot. Okay, so now those of you who are Apple fans, forgive me, but I am a Samsung fan. I love my Samsungs. I've had Samsung phones for decades. And so as I'm looking at my phone screen, when I do the finger separation thingy, can you see that there's numbers on there? No, you can't, because that didn't work. Just hang on. Got to get around to the right side. There we go. There's numbers there. Can you see that? Where it says right now, it says 2.6. And so as I pinch my fingers, as I take my fingers up, so what that tells me, Tamara, is you are going to need to just experiment to find where you're getting the best photos. So hopefully you've got a patient, very patient, someone in your home that you can do like hundreds of iPhotos with to get those pictures, right? So that you can figure out where does that slider bar need to be in order to get good photos. Certainly if you are giving information to a client for how to take photos, you want to give them both, give them an idea of where would that slider be if they're on a Mac, and if they're not on a Mac or on an Apple phone, then you want them to be shooting for 4X magnification. Any other questions here? Would adding on a telephoto lens help? Ed, I have no idea. I've never shot with a telephoto lens, so I don't know if that would help. I know some people say that you can get a macro lens to fit your cell phone and they're shooting with those, but the less equipment I need to buy, the happier I am, right? And since I have tripods all over the place for my phones and for my cameras, my external cameras for my computers, it wasn't an extra expense for me to have the tripod. So that worked well for me. And then I don't need to have the macro lens because I can just go to the 4X. The other thing you want to be aware of is if you're going to try a macro lens, you don't want it to be too much magnification, because it's not going to be able to, you're going to get lost in the photo. It might be harder to focus. Whenever you're on Zoom, it's harder to focus, right? All right. Any other questions about this? I want to make sure that you can do this. Okay, so does it help to increase the brightness of the shot? Not sure if Samsung has the same capability. On an iPhone, you can tap and hold the screen and a something shows up. You can always increase, decrease the brightness that way. Well, I certainly do have the option of shooting indoor or outdoor. And again, what you need to be aware of is that the brighter the photo, you're going to have to experiment on a live subject, because with a regular camera, you can actually change the brightness as well, but it saturates your color or it washes out your color. And that ultimately changes the colors you see. And so you'll want to experiment with that to see, what's what. How does it affect? I mean, sadly, I can't know every phone that's out there and every system that's out there, but you'll have to experiment to see how things work. Do not use a flash. Do not use your camera flash in your phone. That's going to be like blinded by the light. If you remember that song, if you're old enough to remember it, you're going to be blinded by the light, and it's going to wash things out, and that's not going to work well for you. Okay, you're better off to use some kind of light you can control, at least to a certain extent. Again, the challenge with doing your photos with a smartphone is you actually don't have control of the light. No matter what you're doing, you don't really have control of the light. And so that's why I'm saying these are not going to be optimal, but they will be usable. You will never ever use these photos for before and after comparisons. If I catch any of you doing that, I'm going to find out where you live. Just saying. Photography is not reliable enough, at least with standard equipment. It's not reliable enough to say this or that happened, so we've got the before and after photos to prove it. So don't you dare go there. Okay. Okay, that was the school marm in me coming out. All right. Any other questions? Anything else I can help you with your photography? So I have a question for you. Do any of you actually have professional iridology camera setups? And I'm not talking about the little $200 iriscopes. I'm talking about a 24 megapixel camera with a proper illuminator on the front. Do any of you have that kind of a setup? And so if you do, put yes camera in the comments box. I'm betting that since you came for this, you probably don't. But if you do, I want to see a yes camera comment. Because if you do have a camera and you're finding that you've got troubles with how it's working, or you're not getting the kind of shots that you thought you should, I can always do one of these lives on how to improve your photography abilities with your professional iridology camera. So I'm not seeing that anybody has that. So that's fine. Then I don't need to do one of those in the near future. We'll save that for my students in my course. Some of them buy cameras or have cameras when they come into my course. All right. Anything else I can help you with? It looks like nothing right now. So we're good. My pleasure, my pleasure. I really hope this has helped. Now, for those of you who are considering getting into the next go round of the Dynamic Iridology Assessment System course, there is an info webinar happening next week. Let me just give you the specific date. I've got so many dates on my calendar. I wish they were all with my husband. No. Okay, so Wednesday the 31st. Wednesday, the 31st, I have an info session happening 5 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's 6 hours later than what we started today for those of you who are in different time zones. If you would like the link to join us for that webinar, because that webinar will not be streamed into the group, for those of you who are in the Facebook group right now, please send me your email address and I will make sure you get added to the list to receive that link. That info session is going to give you information about what's included in the curriculum, about what is the tuition, what kind of support do you get, what other materials will you need to purchase to be successful in the course, how this course will help you prepare for certification with IPA if you so choose. What mentoring and support is there for that exam preparation and certification preparation as well. So if you are interested in the information for that webinar, please send me your contact info and I will make sure you get that information. All right, you can PM me, you can message me through Facebook, however you are comfortable reaching out. If you're already on my email list and you got an email for today that had a registration link in it, please send me an email and say you want to be added to the information webinar protocol, the automations for that, so that I can make sure that you are put into that sequence as well. And you can just, from the email you used to register for today, you can just reply to that and I will get that message directly. I will see to it personally. Awesome. Well, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for being with me. That was kind of fun, a bit of an adventure. And Martha says, Judith's courses are well worth it. Thank you, Martha. She's been a longtime student of mine. And Martha, I say this with love, she's become a groupie. Wherever I am, she's there, and I love that. And Dinette, thank you for being with us. I appreciate you being here today. That was good to see you and to meet you. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the Facebook group or on the webinar on Wednesday night to talk about the course. Have a fabulous weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye for now.